The crash of the waves was loud that evening at Santa Monica Pier, but not loud enough to drown out cruelty. A young girl sat quietly in her wheelchair, her fragile hands gripping the metal sides as if they were her only shield from the world. Her eyes carried the weight of loneliness, watching the sunset paint the sky with colors she felt she could never quite reach. Then came the words, sharp, venomous, cruel enough to pierce through the ocean breeze. "Move, cripple," one boy spat, his laughter echoing, followed by the thud of a careless kick to her chair. The jolt rocked her body, her small cry swallowed by the jeers of those who thought pain was entertainment. The wooden planks beneath her rattled as if they too were shaken by what had just happened. Before the story unfolds further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and standing up for what's right, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Kindness Corner, and share it with someone who needs hope today. Your support helps stories of courage and compassion reach more hearts. Her name was Alina. At just 15 years old, she carried scars deeper than any physical wound. She was born with a rare condition that weakened her legs, confining her to the chair that had become both her lifeline and her prison. Her parents, working multiple jobs, couldn't always protect her from the world's unkindness. School had never been easy, whispers followed her in hallways, and friendships were fleeting, slipping through her fingers before she could hold on to them. But she had always loved the pier. Santa Monica, with its wide skies and laughing families, gave her the illusion of belonging. She came for the sound of the waves, the salt in the air, and the distant carousel lights that made her feel, for just a moment, like she wasn't different at all. That illusion shattered when the boys pushed her. Their sneakers scuffed the boardwalk as they sneered, circling like predators around prey. One of them, emboldened, nudged her chair again, harder this time. The wheels bumped against the planks, and her hands flew to steady herself. Strangers passed by, some glancing, some pretending not to see, all of them caught in that invisible chain of hesitation that binds people when wrong is happening before their eyes. And Alina, though trembling, tried to swallow her tears, because she had learned long ago that crying only fueled their laughter. But then, the air shifted. It started with the low, thunderous growl of engines rolling in from the distance. The sound was steady, commanding, like a storm breaking into the calm. The bullies turned their heads, squinting against the setting sun. What they saw next froze them in place. A line of motorcycles, chrome gleaming, headlights piercing, pulled onto the pier. One by one, they dismounted, leather jackets catching the last rays of the day, boots heavy against the wood. They weren't just bikers, they were guardians of the forgotten, men and women whose presence carried a force that words could never capture. And together, they moved, forming a wall of steel and flesh around the fragile girl whose chair had been kicked just moments ago. The boys stammered, their bravado leaking out like air from a punctured tire. The tallest biker, broad-shouldered with a silver beard, crouched beside Alina. His voice was low, steady, carrying the weight of a man who had seen the world's darkness but still chose light. He adjusted her chair gently, checking to see if she was hurt. For the first time in what felt like forever, Alina didn't feel small. She felt seen, shielded by people who carried no fear of standing between cruelty and innocence. What happened next became the turning point of her young life. The bikers didn't lash out at the bullies, though they easily could have. Instead, they spoke, firmly, clearly, telling them that strength was not measured by tearing down the weak but by lifting them up. The boys fled, their sneakers pounding against the pier, their laughter silenced at last. And Alina sat in stunned silence, the sea breeze drying the tears on her cheeks. She realized she was surrounded by more than strangers. These were people who had chosen to ride through life not just for freedom, but for justice. From that night, the bikers became part of her story. They invited her to their gatherings, where the roar of engines turned into laughter, where she was no longer the cripple, but the little sister. They taught her that her chair was not her cage but her chariot. They customized her wheelchair with flames painted across the sides, making it look like it belonged in their fleet. And every weekend, they rolled into Santa Monica Pier together, not as outcasts or misfits, but as a family, loud, proud, unafraid. Her confidence grew with each ride. At school, she began to carry herself differently, her silence replaced with courage. When whispers rose, she met them with steady eyes. When someone stumbled near her, she reached out first. Slowly, others began to see her not for her chair but for her spirit. And though the scars of bullying never fully vanished, they became part of a story greater than cruelty, a story of resilience, of finding protectors when the world turned its back. Years later, Alina stood, not physically, but in every other way, taller than she had ever been. She gave speeches about kindness, resilience, and courage, often beginning with the night on the pier when strangers on bikes had chosen to stand up for her. And every time she spoke, those who heard her carried home the message that kindness, no matter how small, could ripple out like the tide and change someone's life forever. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. These stories aren't just words, they are reminders of the power we each hold to change a life, to protect someone vulnerable, to make the world gentler one act at a time. Special request, drop a comment below with the words, "Kindness wins," if you believe compassion is stronger than cruelty.